There we go. That's good. Let's put the comments on somewhere. Share to group. Boycott, right move. Share. Share. Agency Union group. Share. Done. Okay. Hello, Robert. How are you? Just a yes, I'm fine will be good. Can you hear me? Is the speaker working? Hi, Gary. This is an estate agency special. I can see the names coming up. Can you all hear me? Someone say yes, please. Hello? Is there anybody out there? Hi, Stephen. Stephen, welcome aboard. You can hear me? My wife tells me you can hear me. That's good. Hello, Roger. This is an estate agent special this afternoon, along with agents here to help, trying to promote the things that we do and try and help each other through these difficult times. Thanks, Shane. Thank you very much. Good. Thank you, Stephen. Stephen's our in-house lawyer. He'll be able to comment on the bottom of the screen. You can watch him. And this afternoon, when it gets to 3 o'clock, where's my clock gone? Let's have a look. Give it another 3 or 4 minutes for people to come up. Thank you, Gary. No problem. Hi, Nick. How are you? You should stay on board. This could be interesting for you. It was all about the latest laws that are affecting us as estate agents. Hi, Rob. How are you? This is about estate agency. You're welcome to stay. Actually, you might be interested. Good to have you all here. Thank you for the thumbs up. Let's keep an eye on the time. 5 to 3. Hope you're all keeping well. Let's see when the names come up. What we can't see, as Perry found earlier, is how many people are watching. Oh, yes, we can. 14. I can see at the top. Hang on, it's a good start. Good start. Hi, Josh. Hope you're okay. Answers only by typing, I'm afraid, and questions by typing. Stephen will be here to answer some questions in the background, and I can put you in touch with Stephen of Landlord's Lawyer later on after all this. Thank you, Shane. Thank you very much. It's we were treated to this by Stephen a couple of days ago. It made my hair fall out, as you can see. And we were really shocked at all the recent changes. I'll probably run through them. Stephen's kindly given me a little schedule, which you can't see because that's back to front, and some documents and things to run through. But I suspect I'll get some of them wrong, and I suspect that he'll need to put them all right for everybody. So once I've finished, you're welcome to leave emails, and Stephen will get in touch with you direct, or email me, or come through the group. Hi, Bert. How are you? How's Mum? Hi, Gareth. Nice to have you on board. We'll give it another couple of minutes. Hope everybody's staying safe. Not such a nice day today. First time in a long time I turned my phone on to silent. I haven't done that for ages. Glad to hear, Bert. Glad to hear. Good. Another satisfied Dreamview client. Bit of advertising. Got to get a bit of advertising in. I've watched a couple of these so far. This is my third bedroom of 3. Hello, Dan. Welcome. This is where we live, where I live when I try and do some work from home. And the picture in the background, because I always get asked, which you can't see because of the light, I'll turn the light off for a minute, is Jackson Square in New Orleans. Lovely place if you haven't been there. Hi, Rob. How you doing? Everyone all right? All the Perlmutters? Okay, we'll give it another minute because 3 o'clock was the time. I want to let everybody join on. Should have had some music, really, shouldn't I? Glad to hear. How's the deliveries going? Bit of advertising. Teatro Radlett. If you want some home delivery food, touch base with Rob. He'll deliver to you some lovely grubbly. Just made that word up. Glad to hear it. Doing very well, thank you very much. Okay, about 20 people watching, so we'll give it a go. So I'm Murray Lee. I run a company called Dreamview Estates in Golders Green, Northwest 11, and during this last crisis we've been looking for things to do to keep our heads above water. This one's a freebie. A chap called Christian Byfield, who possibly somewhere is watching in the background, is a great estate agent and great promoter, and he's put together this page called Agents Here to Help. And we're helping each other and we're helping the public. And the way we do that is these 30-minute or so little video blogs, live video blogs, telling everybody about what's going on, what you can, what you can't do. And this one's really specifically for estate agents, I think, today. There'll be other ones in the future. I put my hands up to do one about selling, something I know more about probably. But this one's very specific because I was talking the other day to Stephen Conway, who's the senior partner at Landlord's Lawyer and somebody I've known for a very long time. And he kindly brought us on board to a webcam seminar which told us all about the changes in the Coronavirus Act, which affects estate agents generally with all the market, etc., and the way things are. Please excuse me if I make mistakes. It's the first time I've done this. I do disc jockeying. That's very different. If you're free on a Friday night, you can tune into my show on Periscope if you've got nothing better to do. I do that for Watford General Hospital. But this one's a bit more serious and sometimes I might lose my way, so please bear with me if you do. Stephen pointed out to us that the Coronavirus Act 2020 came into force on the 26th of March this year, and Schedule 29 of that Act, which I've got here, and Stephen has kindly sent me, which is that, and these are available later on if you want them. Hello Jessica, all the way from California, from Florida. This one probably won't be much interest, but you're welcome to stay. It sets out the requirements during the national emergency period in respect to serving notices on tenants. It explains the notice periods for the rent arrears have been increased from 2 months to 3 months. And Section 21 notices will not run for 3 months. This Act is only in force until the 30th September 2020, or at least until the national emergency, or unless the national emergency continues beyond that period. Stephen was saying they could possibly extend it. We'll have to wait and see. He's provided various notices and documents for us, all of which are available if you want to get in touch with him, and they'll tell you all the differences. What he did explain, and this is where Stephen's expertise and values really comes into play, is that the Section 21 notice has changed from a 2-page thing to about an 18-page document. It's a claim form for possession. I don't know if you can see that clearly. It might be back to front, I'm not sure. And even he agreed, and I think we all say that it's a bit of a nightmare, and the changes are very dramatic. And if you do want possession, and we'll come on to that in a minute, you're going to need someone like Stephen to serve it for you. Never mind the time involved in doing it, but there are many trips and branches to fall over that if you get it wrong, you could end up jeopardising your client's chance to get possession. We'll come back to whether or not you're going to want possession is another story altogether. Sorry, thanks Stephen. Stephen's messaging, as you can see, guys. So it can be 2 years, but the notice period increased from 2 weeks to 3 months. Thanks, Stephen. Told you I get things wrong. Stephen took nearly an hour to explain all the pages to us, and to be honest, my head was fuddled at the end of it, and I think you will need somebody of Stephen's expertise and knowledge. And this isn't a promo for Stephen, let me make that very clear, but it struck me that if I didn't know enough about it, a lot of the agents that I speak to certainly didn't. And one of the colleagues I had on, who's Philip Wise of Ashmore's in Hendon, who's a very big management local agent, he was shocked at all the changes, and he agreed that what Stephen's talking about needs a professional to deal with. The section form 6A has changed. I've got that here as well. That needs to be filled in properly. So I think you'll find that running through it all, and I'm not going to do that now because number one, as you already see, I've made one mistake. I'll make too many mistakes, but if you want to follow it up, I think it's very important that you do, and you take advice from someone like Stephen, and you're welcome to get in touch with me or him. He's put his name up on the Agents to Help page to say who he is, and you can get in touch with him direct. He provides a service. Initially, the consultation, I'm sure, will be free. I'm speaking for Stephen, but beyond that, there are charges. He would charge us for serving the notices. We have a contract with him, and we pay for his services. It's money very well spent. He's also gone on to say that in particular attention must be given to the gas safety notices. All such certificates must be recorded on the claim form. Holding deposits must be returned to tenants on 14 days. If you take a deposit at the start of a letting, if you haven't given that back, you've got a problem at that stage down the line. Sorry, my phone's ringing and I can't speak to them quite at the moment. And the 14 days deposit by agreement has to be given in writing so the tenant can use it as part of the deposit. There's a section on the claim form for that. Thank you, Christian. Appreciate the call. Hello, Paul. How are you? Sorry if I'm not saying hello to everybody, but it's moving very fast and very quickly. Going back to why you should serve notice, etc., really becomes a personal thing. And this was picked up by Christian on the very first Agents to Help video the other day. Thank you, Stephen. At the moment, a lot of us are finding, I think, that a lot of tenants are saying we can't afford to pay. I've had one just in the last few minutes sent us an email. They've left the property, but they've got the keys with them. And we had one of those with Stephen, which we'll come on to in a few minutes. Every circumstance is different. And we believe at Agents to Help, and Christian backed this up earlier, that we should be flexible, or at least our landlords should be flexible. If the tenants come along and say we can't afford, there's no point in putting the shutters up and saying you've got to pay, because number one, they can't afford to pay. Number two, you'd have to go through this process to get them out of the property, and it could take 2 to 3 months before you even get anywhere with them. So the first step is really to try and organise terms with them. One of the things I came up with at the time, which went down quite well, is trade-off. They can't afford to pay. The flat needs decorating. We spoke to one of our tenants and we suggested that he came up with an estimate for redecorating the flat. He'd buy the material, he'd provide the paint and so on and so forth. Pictures beforehand, pictures after, show us what he's done, because of course we can't go there to inspect it, and we would trade off for the rent. His rent was around about, well, it was £1,495 a month. He was offering to pay £1,000, and we've agreed that he can have 2 months free, as it were, 2 months at £1,000, allowing him £1,000 to decorate the property. It's gone down well. The landlord's happy. The property's been improved. I'm waiting for the pictures to come through, and everyone's in a decent place, and they've agreed to sort of be happy with each other. That's the right way of putting it. On a different scenario, we had one with Stephen. This is where we all got together over this, where the tenants just basically upped and left. They contacted the landlords on the first or second Friday of the lockdown and said, sorry, we've left the property due to the coronavirus. We've gone back to Devon and we want to cancel the tenancy. And the landlord came on to me and said, what are they doing? They can't do that. We emailed them a couple of times. It turned out that they'd taken the keys with them, gone back to Devon and planned to come back to clear the property. And in fact, it happens, it was a... thanks, Stephen. In fact, it happens that they'd actually left all their contents in the property and some of the furniture. It was unfurnished or semi-unfurnished. So we got in touch with Stephen and we came up with some suggestions, and obviously he stepped in, took over. Again, there was a fee involved, but my landlord was happy to pay it, and he's negotiated quite sensibly with the tenants that they are still liable. They've got the keys, they've got the property furnished, and believe me, their contents were in there, the television, etc. We couldn't have done anything with it. Let's jump forward a fraction. The owner actually got permission from them to inspect the property to see how it was, and that's how we found out it was occupied. Or shall we say it had property left in the property, items left in the property, sorry. Eventually Stephen explained to the father, who was the guarantor, that they couldn't just walk away willy-nilly, and we've come to an arrangement with them whereby they're going to continue to pay the rent for the time being, which they have and duty bound to. Thankfully, because we've served all the documentation correctly at the start, thanks to Stephen. God, it sounds like a We Promote Stephen Conway video, this, doesn't it? It isn't, I promise you, but without him we'd be in much deeper doo-doo than we are at the moment. And we've agreed with the tenants that as soon as the lockdown is over, they can come back, clear the property. We'll go in, make sure it's clean for marketing, and take over and market the property straight away to allow them to release themselves from the contract. Ironically, the contract doesn't end until August, so its chances are we won't have a lot of time, to do much about it. But the fact was, we made an arrangement, we made a deal, and they were happy. Landlord's very happy. We haven't had to go to court to get the circumstances. Thank you, Stephen, I appreciate it. So really, in a nutshell, that's it. The tenancy market is in a very, very difficult place at the moment. I think we're all finding that the problems that we're getting are things we've never dealt with before. They're almost insurmountable because we don't know how to deal with them. And it's just really dealing on your knowledge and your history in the business to try and think about the best ways to go about doing things. But frankly, without somebody giving you professional advice and knowing what you're doing properly, it's really a minefield and you could get into lots and lots of trouble. I don't think anybody wants to, well, we can't throw the tenants out on their ear. The problem on the other side of the coin is that they're leaving and we've got those problems to deal with. We had literally, before I came on air, a little email from a lady who lives in a shared accommodation. It's got all the right notices, don't worry. I've left the area because of the virus and I'm going to bring the keys back when I'm ready. I'm cancelling the contract. Well, that's another one we're going to have to discuss with Stephen, probably how we're going to deal with it. But in fact, we're going to turn to her and say exactly the same thing, that you can't relinquish the contract until you give us the keys back, and then we can take a view. But in the meantime, you're liable for the rent. In the nutshell, pretty much that's it. I know that's a lot quicker than you'd expect it to be, and it's probably not been on as much longer as Christian would have liked us to be, but I'm not sure there's not an awful lot more I can tell you. But please, if you've got any questions, please shoot them on the screen at the bottom, and either I, myself, or Stephen will answer them where we can. As far as Dreamview are concerned, we are coming in occasionally on essential basis. We have keys we have to give out to people. There are plumbing issues and lockouts and so on and so forth, and the odd break-in that we've had as well. So we've had to confront that, come in masked and gloves and so on and so forth, and we've sat there while the plumbers come. They go to the properties. They go along, they make sure the tenants are out if necessary, and they do their jobs. We've had a gas leak in one place as well. So there's all sorts of things going on all the time that we have to deal with that are probably we consider essential, but others may not. But we hope we're doing the right thing, and we hope we're making sure that the people out there are being looked after. And that, in my view, in Dreamview Estates' view, is the way we should do it. There you go. Stephen's most important words are it's to do with your contract. Anybody got any questions? Because that's really what I thought this would be now, a question and answer series. Because, hi Andy, how are you? This is about estate agency. You're welcome to stay. There's lots of people tuning in, and I'm very appreciative of that you're making the time and effort to do that. But to be honest with you, it's more about property and estate agency. A little bit about me, if you don't know. I've been at it over 40 years. I've been in Golders Green and Hendon for most of my business life, and have worked now at Dreamview Estates for 7 or 8 years. We've come along from a small independent. We're quite well successfully established in the area, good reputation, and we're doing okay. Let's see what the questions are. So Lloyd's got a question. Awkward tenants at the moment in a property we manage, been tipped off they are subletting. Any advice how to deal with it? Stephen, anything you want to add to that one? And we've got Ian Crampton asking, just a second. Chat with our tenants when asked they could surrender their property. Our current landlord is better than keeping tenants in the property long term. Fair enough, Ian. We tried to come to a deal where they paid something before they gave the keys up straight away. Oops. There we go. Hi Tracy, welcome to the show. Where are we? Hi Gareth. Live videos tend to stay someone's page. There you go. So Gareth, you can come back and watch it. Thanks, Carla. There we go, there's Stephen's answer. So they are in breach of their contract. This is the difficult part. This is what we came up with yesterday. So if you are finding that tenants are in breach, you need something legally to help you get out of the quandary. You've got to look after your landlords as well. Your landlords are your clients. The tenants obviously pay the rent, and without the tenants paying the rent, there's no deal at all. But with one without the other, there's no package to go on as well. There we go. Mark, Stephen, can you answer that one? Mark served a Section 20, runs out on the 25th of April. Does he... That's not for here, Tracy. I helped Tracy out yesterday with a run for aprons for a charity that she's trying to help North London Hospice, and she was very grateful. I picked up some from my cousin. Hello, Millie, local neighbour. Stephen, going back to the question, served a Section 20 notice, runs out on the 25th. Does he need to reserve it? Can we give him an answer? Sorry about the silences in between. Maybe I should have music in the background next time. Stephen's obviously beavering away. How are we all finding things? Is it tough out there? That's a silly question. So, better say landlord wishes to sell makes the conversation easier than serve notice. From my point of view, I'm not sure that would work either, Lloyd. I'm not sure, to be frank with you. Stephen will come up with an answer for those. I don't know where he's gone. He's disappeared. Maybe he's got something else going on. He can come back and answer these later on if he's not there. I would say that they're not going to go under any circumstances, and you're going to have to wait the 2 to 3 months to get them out because they've shifted the goalposts as far as serving notices are concerned. Hi, Bijan. How are you? Welcome to the show. Okay, Ian, that's fair enough. Makes sense. What were you saying? Let's go back to Ian's comment. End the tenancy. End the tenancy. better than keeping tenants. Yeah, there you go. It's true. It does depend also when the end is. Stephen, there we go. Mark, as long as your notice was done correctly and the relevant papers were served in beforehand, is good to go. You can draft up the claim, but the courts are delayed by nearly 90 days. And that comes back to the other question before. So you see, Stephen's got all the answers, pretty much more than I have, to be honest, people. Is there anybody else who's watching, got anything for somebody with the proper legal knowledge that would like to ask the questions through me to Stephen? And as I said, be aware the laws have changed, the regulations changed, the paperwork has changed, and you've got to get your act together to make sure you're serving the right ones. That's correct. Ian's right. That's true. Very true. Thank you, Ian. Very logical, very knowledgeable. Other than that, I'm afraid that really is as much as I've got to tell you today. I know it's a bit shorter than you wanted it to be, the guys that are watching. If Stephen's still going, I'll stay here and feed them through. Section 3 months now, and then you can apply to court. There you go. Please feel free to ask any more questions before we close down. I won't do that straight away, but I'm struggling to come up with too much to tell you about at the moment. It's a long time, half an hour, when you've got nothing to say. Do you feel that any arrangement to pay by a tenant will allow a court to delay? Yeah, I think so. Thank you, Deb. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Ian's question's a good one. I think we discussed this with Stephen yesterday or the other day, that we do think so. Pleasure, Lloyd. I think the courts will take in favour anything the tenant does to pay. So serving a notice where you've got an arrangement with the tenant seems illogical to me. If you've got an arrangement, the landlord's just going to have to suck it up, basically, and accept that this is the terms. What we're trying to do with ours is get deferred. We've got the deposit at the end. Thank you, Carla. We've got the deposit at the end, so that's something we could look at. Obviously, we'd have to get the permission from the tenants as well. Here's Stephen again. I'll read it out for everybody who can't see that. Ian, you must bear in mind that any claims may not be dealt with by the court now. However, there'll be a huge backlog and you should get your paperwork in as soon as possible. Yeah, this was something Stephen was telling us. They're putting in more now than they ever used to have. They have a lot more difficult tenants, perhaps is the best way of putting it, than we have. And he's saying that really you should get your paperwork in place, serve it now. You can always withdraw it if you have to. Anything offered by the tenant is enough for the possession order to be delayed. You may be right, Ian. I don't know if there's any grounds for that yet, but I think you're probably right. And I think it's only fair to say that we've got to try and help them stay in their homes. We're not trying to throw them out on the street. And what would we do if we could? You can't show the properties, even if they're vacant. And there's lots of clever agents dodging around that, stepping through, opening the door, coming back out again. Ian should attempt a payment plan with the tenant and serve notice in the meantime. There you are. There's the professional's answer. There's a lot of agents out there doing the video tours. I'm very, very wary of those. It's a great idea to promote the house, but would you really want to let someone a property based on a video tour? I'm not sure I would, because I could be seeing all sorts of fraught problems when they turn up at the property day one and realise it's not exactly as glossy as it looked on the video tour. But if that's the way you want to go with it. You still got to do the moving, and they're saying, unless it's key workers, obviously, no moving unless it's essential. So I'm not sure. Good point, Ian. Budget plans. Very good idea. Yep, definitely. We're coming up with the same. Hi, Howard. How's Nikki? Hope she's okay. These are private friends of mine. Sorry, they're welcome to jump on board. And there are personal things that we know about each other. But this is more about estate agents. But I'm welcome for the viewing numbers. Please like and share. I was told to say that and forgot to say that right at the beginning, obviously. Any more questions, please keep coming, because Stephen's happy to answer. And as I said, if you contact me or contact Stephen through his Facebook page, Stephen Conway, he'll certainly come back to you and give you the right tips and put you on board as one of his clients, and you won't be disappointed. And I think you'll find also that it will take away a lot of the stress. Thank you, Ian. A lot of the stress that we are building up at the moment, because this is one of the biggest ones. Yeah, important information coming through from Stephen. Ground 8 says, as long as the rent is in arrears by 2 months at the time of serving the notice, at the time of hearing, the court must give possession. Well, there you go. Now, that's a piece of information that none of us would have had Stephen not be here. So thanks again, Stephen. Maybe I should have made this the Stephen Conway half hour. Maybe they wouldn't have come. If you build it, they will come, is what they say. If you're enjoying me, tune in next Friday, not to Facebook Live on Periscope. I've got a radio show for Watford General Hospital. Do my bit for National Health Service, as long as collecting eggs and delivering them. If you look for my donations page, we've made over £1,150 and not as good as Major Tim or Captain Tom or whatever his name is. I don't think we'll get to 18 million, but I'm happy in my own little way to have raised nearly, well, over £1,000. And thank you for everybody who's supported me. Any more questions, anybody? What am I doing this weekend? No, that's not one I can answer, unfortunately, I'm afraid to say. I hope you're all doing well, and I hope you're staying strong and staying safe and doing your little bit to keep your business running. Don't forget, you've got your grants out there. I'm hearing people now getting their grants coming through. Thank you, Ian. Well, thank you, Stephen, to Stephen. Your rates can be zero. Don't forget, you can furlough your staff. And I heard yesterday that's treated as a grant as well, so that you won't have to pay back. So it's more about, and here's a plug coming actually, more about keeping your expenses down than, watch this from the start, Sam. You're an estate agent. You've missed the beginning of this. Very, very useful information about, thanks, Stephen, about the current Coronavirus Act that's changed the laws. Hi, Carl. Nice to see you. Get a new T-shirt. Let's go off tangent a little bit and trying to keep the content going. Along with Agents to Help, I've joined and helped set up 2 Facebook pages. One is called Boycott Right Move, which I wasn't involved with, but I am now a member of. And the other one is the Estate Agency Union Group. And along with Rob Sargent, whose name is in all the press, more perhaps than even mine, he set up the Say No to Right Move. The 3 groups are splintered, but we're trying to come together. Got another web call this afternoon. Thank you, Ian. To pull together to defend ourselves against Right Move. I won't say we're totally the reason behind it, but I'd like to think myself, Alan Goldin from Temple Fortune, Richard from House and Homes, Richard Dangor, and Philip Wise from Ashmore's in Hendon, specifically Alan, got hold of the CEO of the Right Move, tore him off a strip, and they took away the first stupid deferral offer that they gave and replaced it with the 75% off. From there, it's become a crusade. We've also negotiated with Zoopla, and they've given what I think is a better deal. 5 months free, sign a 12-month contract after that. And if you decide to come off Right Move at the end of their 4-month free period, they will give you another 4 months after that as well. So you could be on Zoopla for 9 months for free if you come off Right Move. I know many won't, and that's another conversation for another day, and perhaps we should do one on portals. But in practical terms, we think that Right Move will come back to us and say, we want your money now, the full price, back to where we were in 4 months' time. And that's the time, hopefully, we'll have the higher ground and we can say, sorry, Mr. Right Move, it's our place, our way or the highway. And if you aren't already, please join the Right Move group, Say No to Right Move, the Estate Agency Union group, which we're going to try and make the umbrella name because I think that name works best. And of course, where most of you guys have come from, the Boycott Right Move. And please feel free to look at the Agents to Help page. Christian and his team, Carla and Deb, have set up a fantastic back office technical scenario there, which is how this has all come about. And we're now doing these videos every day as much as we can, all sorts of different things, and hopefully more exciting people than me will come on and give you some more information that I don't have. But I hope that what you found from today is useful. It sounds like it. Now, Stephen's saying, guys, the main thing is to get in the issues early and give free advice to letting go. You can't ask better than that. Now, can you? That's a real salesman. Free advice. Can't ask for better than that. Is there any more in questions? Anything anybody else will want to go? Anything else? Someone just called me the Martin Lewis of the estate agency. Well, don't know about that. Please now do feel free to ask any questions. We've got about another 5 minutes before we're going to close down. Keep an eye on my Facebook page. Keep an eye on the Twitter pages. Keep an eye on the agency Facebook pages as well to see what's out there. We're here to help each other. We're here to help the clients. We're here to help the tenants. We're not just saying we're going to throw you out on the street. We're going to say we're here to help you. We're going to defer your payments. We won't serve notices. We're going to help you to stay there. Just don't walk away. Come back and see us, because the ones that walk away are going to be the ones that are going to give us the most problems, no doubt. So please make sure that you keep yourself well aware of what's going on. And as Stephen said, make sure your paperwork is in place. Johnny, you've come in very late. Nice to see you. Go back to the beginning of this. Some very useful information. The Section 20 notices have changed, and the way you serve them and the information that you need is very different. So just to sum up, the Coronavirus Act 2020 came into force on the 26th of March, and Schedule 29 is the one you need to look at. which has all the requirements in that during the national emergency in respect to serving notices on tenants. Explains the notice period for rent arrears, and it's been increased from 2 weeks to 3 months. The Section 21 notice will not run for 3 months either. This act is only enforced to the 30th of September, but unless the national emergency runs beyond that period, it may get extended. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much. I think that's going to be about it for me. Unless anyone's got any more questions, I'm happy to sit here and listen and talk. I have another call lined up at 4:30, so I need to be off soon. I'd like to thank Stephen Coleman. I think I've done enough of that. I'd like to thank you all for tuning in. I hope you found it useful. I hope you haven't found it boring. And I'll be back again soon. I'm waiting for the next time in the schedule from Debs, our scheduler, talking about the sale chain. Maybe I shall play the music in the background from Fleetwood Mac at that stage. Bye-bye, guys. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. And if you want to watch it, just run it back to the beginning, start again, and you can see my ugly mug for another half an hour. Take care. Stay safe. Bye.